No? Okay, so this is you in your Aatrox game. So before any game starts, you want to look at the matchups, right? And this is what I tell to everyone. You want to look at how your team interacts with the enemy team, and of course that'll like let you assess what you can do and what you can't do throughout the game. So for example, this team and this team. Who do you think wins top lane? You or the Kale? Okay, perfect. Jungle or jungle.
I would assume Warwick.
Correct. Mid.
I want to say Yas just because the Zoe's low mobility,
Correct.
but at
And
the
then
same time,
bot.
I feel like
What about bot? Who do you think would win?
I think Jinx because Vayne scales harder late.
Yep. So you know that your jungle wins this jungle, right?
Yep.
So that means if he tries to counter jungle, and if you can help him, try to do so. We know that mid's probably gonna lose against this mid, so we know that in the worst case scenario, Yasuo does get fed, and then you can start playing around that. For this top lane wave, you have three scenarios, or you have three objectives that you want to do on Aatrox, right? You want to obviously kill the Kale as soon as possible because she scales super hard at level 16. You want to get first tower, and then you want to control some camps, or control the map in the top side. And then once you get this first tower here, that sets you up for a roam around the map. So we're just gonna go over here. First of all, do you know why do you stand
Yeah,
here?
I don't. I'm not even gonna know. I don't know why.
Okay,
I think I was on my phone for the first part. I should be standing in Tribush.
exactly.
Or
So look to always stand in tribush. Look to stand in key points where they try to invade. You can also, place a ward here at 105. This is a good ward to place, obviously, because if the Talia decides to come for the scuttle, then first of all, you'll know that she's going for scuttle, and second of all, you'll know that she's topside, right? And that'll avoid most of the ganks you have, the ganks that
yeah,
Talia can make in the top side. Also, understand where the jungler starts, right? This might be a bit too hard for you to like track at the very beginning, but do you know how? Do you know the indication to understand where the enemy jungler starts?
Um. Normally, I just think where they go because I think Talia starts blue just because her mana problems are terrible.
Okay. So if we speed this up, I'll tell you, a good way to tell where she's starting, blue or red, right? If you look at this,
Oh, but yeah, she started red. Yep, because Kale's already there. She's already
exactly,
got a good lead.
right? So what does that tell you?
That her blue is open,
Right, she's gonna
and
path.
she's gonna be near bot side. She's gonna be moving towards top.
Right, and then when is she gonna be moving towards stuff? When is she in the prime position to gank you? Do you know?
Around, I'd say 3 minutes.
3 minutes 10 seconds. That's when you drop the ward here, right?
3 minutes 10 seconds.
Always, right? If she isn't gonna gank you by 3 minutes 10 seconds, then she's not gonna look to gank you until like another 3 minutes, right? Because it takes her roughly 3 minutes to clear your jungle. Um, and if we assume she's doing a 3 camp clear to level 3, 310 is the perfect time for you to ward here. So now that we know that the kit or the Talia started blue, then we can track her jungle movements, right? So here, very nice. Yeah. So here you should walk up. You've chunked her for a lot, right? So there's no reason for you to play behind your minions here. Playing her behind your minions gives her a lot of freedom, right? She can come up and harass this, but if you chunk her this hard this early, you have the opportunity to deny these minions from her, right? So walking up here, you don't have to hit her with your auto attacks. If you hit her with your auto attacks, then the minions will aggro onto you, right? But if you use
That's
her,
why I walked into the bush. I wanted to get the
right,
minions.
right. But if you use your abilities, then it's a lot harder. Like it doesn't actually. Yep. So you should not be letting her get this. So yeah, walk up here. Yeah, yeah. No, no. See, you should go in on it right here. Yeah, you're level 2. So yeah, yeah. No. Yep. Keep going. Yep. Oopsies, I pressed the record button.
It froze on me, I think.
The wave froze.
Yeah.
Mm, this wave
Oh,
is
wait, there it goes. No, it's up,
this wave is shoving. This wave is actually perfect for you to harass. It's slow pushing, right? And the way you can tell that is because you have more minions, but it's on her side, right? But the amount of minions you have is not like a lot, right? So she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, and these two are low, right? So here you ward at 244. This is a bit early, but that's a fine ward. Um, yeah. So you could actually W'd here after you hit level up. If you, yeah, if you anticipated it, you would have killed her here if you had W. So look for power spikes, right? First 6 minions will get you level 2, right? Since you're playing Aatrox, EQ is very good on Aatrox, right? So just note that like it takes 6 minions uh after the first 3, so 9 in total, right? To get you level 2. So 9 minions in total gets level 2. And if you get level 2, you can force the initiative immediately with Aatrox. Or just any champion you're playing usually. Force this level advantage. So now you shove the wave. Alright. This position, you see the Talia come, right? So why do you walk up here?
I just noticed. I hadn't looked at the minimap just yet, which I needed.
Right, so focus on looking at the minimap. You dodge her out, but look at the position yourself in now, right? You actually do get her, but she does flash. Your work here is to gank, and this is the only reason you survive. You played that pretty decently, though. But yeah, so yeah, you place that ward here, and if we go to red, as soon as this wave shoved in, you see her, right? So you should be wary of this. And actually, you can just walk, if you dodge this thingy, yeah, you can actually just walk forward and kill her. Yeah, this engage should have been on, going in on, yep. For the most part, you played this fine, though. And you get to shove this wave, right? And then, so this is actually perfect back timing for you. You have a fair substantial amount of gold, 800. That gets you, if you get 200 more gold, which this wave will give you if you get all the minions, you can get Dirk and then go back to lane immediately. So here you should be shoving this wave. Yep. This is good. And the reason why you want to shove this wave is it's a cannon wave, right? Cannon waves are longer to take or to kill, right? So if this Kale wants to shove the wave back, she's gonna have to take more time to kill the cannon wave. This gets you a back timing, which is really good. You're level 4, almost level 5. If you get your item at level 4, come back to lane, hit level 5. You can look to go for an all engage at level 5, right? And this would put you massively ahead against the Kale. So you hit level 5, right? So this is, of course, perfect back timing. Cannon wave level 5. You have exactly 1,100 gold, like I said. So, yep, backing here is perfect, right? So overstaying here, yeah, but look at where you are. If we go to red side, right? You have no vision on the top side of the map. So a better jungler would just come top and then shit on you here, right? So this is where you just back. So look to back around level 5 if you have this lane control over here. You can actually just look to kill her. She's like really low. I don't know what she's doing. She's trolling. Do you see this kill here? Do you see how much? Yeah, definitely. The Warwick does come. It's a terrible gank from the Warwick though, but here you back. Nope. Gonna shove it in.
I see that wave and I want to shove it again.
Okay. She burns TP, so this is where you. Yep. This is a good back here. Oh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You actually have to back. Yeah.
That's one thing I do.
You look at this wave and you shove it too much.
I remember she outplayed me.
Okay, so do you see what just happened there? Notice how the Talia ganked you? So you know, um, when you get this lead, you're level 6 with, look at your items though, right? You have a lot of gold stacked up. She has more items than you at this point. Even though she has, less farm than you, she has more items. And, farm doesn't actually translate into a lead until you get items, right? So here you stayed too long, and of course the thing that I told you that like would have happened, where the jungler ganks actually did come to fruition. So of course you died here because one, you don't have stuff warded when you're pushing up, and two, you backed pretty late. So this is quite unfortunate, which is fine. You're still winning the lane. You have to burn TP though. If you backed earlier, you didn't have to burn TP here for this TP play. And because, if you shove your wave in back, then obviously like the minions won't crash back into your tower, right? So this TP could have been saved for like a play on the bot side of the map, right? And that's more important than trying to catch this wave because you made a mistake on your back timing. So look to back a bit better. For the most part, you are winning this lane fairly well in terms of CS, so your CS is fine. CS is actually average for your elo. You roam mid here, and it works out because, of course, no one wards in this elo. You didn't have to flash there. That's okay. So you roamed because this is a good opportunity. So now don't stop here. Go to his blue, right? The Zoe's level 5, or the jungler's level 5. You're level what? 7. If you 1v1 here, she's dead, right? So your wave is still pushing in, right? So these are just some opportunities you can take, right? If you know that you're like outscaling the Talia and you're like 2 levels up ahead, Kale can't actually rotate to you and help the Talia because she'll be losing this farm, right? She wants to shove this wave. So getting this blue is probably a safe option. And if you have a ward up, which you do, you can look to ward here or get a deep ward in the enemy like jungle, right? And then that'll give your Warwick information to counter jungle in the future. So this satisfies 2 options that we want, right? We want to create jungle pressure by giving Warwick information that he needs, and we want to steal farm from the enemy jungler, right? Which will put the enemy jungler behind, put you ahead, and put your Warwick ahead just automatically, right? So that means you're affecting 2 lanes at once just by counter juggling here. And you should be looking to do that in the future if you win your lane this hard. So here you can actually look to kill her. So this is nice. Yeah, she's trolling. Yep. Giorgio Armani. Lol. Someone's been watching too much videos on YouTube. And so, anyways, shove this wave, right? Get some tower platings. Look to get this, right? Because if you see this stuff happen in the bot side, you know this Talia, she's giving up her top side to you, right? You see the Talia bot, so she cannot be here, and you shoved in this wave. So get this free tower plate. Yep, this free tower plate. Once the wave shoves back, you go and roam, right? After you roam, you get to back, or you get to come back to wave, right? But like getting these 2 camps backing and then coming here, that will put you at a CS lead by like 40. So here you get first tower play. You can get this, and then look to counter invade. Yep. Nice. You can actually kill her again with ult. So what? So look, top side's fully up for you, right? So take everything here. Your wave shoving in, so you have every opportunity. So this gank is good because it does does end up working out, but this gank is not guaranteed. And what I mean by that is that it's not always gonna work. This isn't a 100% win rate or 100% chance of working out, but counter jungling is, right? Because it's either the camp is there or it isn't, right? And if the camp is there, you take it, right? And that's a surefire way to get ahead. Because what if you fail this, right? If you fail this and you have to come top again, and then like the Tilia has enough time to rotate, get these 3 camps, and then get back into the game, right? Because she's losing. The Warwick is even farm with Tilia, right? If you look at the farm, so if you get this farm, then the Warwick will automatically win if he just full clears his own jungle, right? And that's how to get your other laners ahead. Because for sure, maybe this mid does work, but we've already established that Zoe doesn't win into the Yasuo matchup, right? So getting this kill, it doesn't actually mean a lot because Yasuo's still gonna play Yasuo, and Zoe's still gonna play Zoe, and regarding like the way matchups work, Zoe's not gonna get any pressure from this lane. It's very hard for her to do so.
So even if you were to make sure it's to a lane that can actually.
Exactly, right? So ganking a lane like this is fine because you do have your wave shoved and you can rotate here. But like the Zoe, like getting the Zoe fed, it won't change the outcome of the lane, right? The Yasuo can still 1v1 the Zoe. Yasuo still counters the Zoe, right? And you have better options available to you, like stealing the enemy jungle. And of course, are you gonna trust Zoe to like win her lane for you, or why not give okay? You don't have to give the Zoe the kill. Like why not just farm and then get yourself more fed, right? You're putting the game into your own hands rather than hoping the Zoe does stuff with that kill, which she probably won't. All right, this harass is fine. You do miss cannon though, unfortunate. This Talia is I don't know what they're trying to do here.
Yeah.
I'd actually 2v1 them, because they're so stupid. Yeah? Alright, Bufo. Alright, sorry, someone was messaging me. Or calling me. So yeah, here, of course, you need to ward more. Look at how much wards you have. Like your vision score is it's 3, right? So every time you shove your wave, look to ward here. Here's some good warding spots every time you shove your wave. And I recommend always to have like, even if you back, buy a red ward, right? So
Yep.
this is a good place to ward. This is a good place to ward, and obviously, smack dab in here. This is a good place to ward.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why, because I normally buy a lot of red wards.
Right, it's all about consistency, right? You have to do this every game. Doing it some games won't. Yeah, you have to build the habit into doing it because then if once habit becomes instinct, then you become a better player. Because the things okay, so she burned ult. Yep, this is pretty easy. So you do know when to like go in on these engages. This is a very nice engage. And of course, shove this. Look toward the enemy jungle. Gives your Warwick some information on the map, right? Now, since your TP is gonna be up soon, you have the option of roaming if you're winning. Once you get this first tower, this opens up the top side of the map, meaning that you can start forcing stuff on the top side and start looking to rotate mid, right? She has to burn TP, which is good. Here you just back, right? Once you back, you get you have a lot of gold on you. Look how much gold you have stockpiled.
That's way too much to stay.
Exactly. You have so much gold here. So I don't know. Yeah, the last time you bought was like 5 minutes ago. So yeah, you're overstaying the lane. And the reason why you don't want to stockpile this much gold is obviously because, like, in a scenario where you can like 2v1, then you need to have this. You need to spend this gold to have that option of 2v1ing, right? Because right now, if you shoved up and someone ganked you, you would have definitely died, right? There was no outplay potential because you had this much gold stockpiled up. So look to back and buy more. Talia makes some stuff in the mid lane, whatever. So here you can top again. Here you can just straight up kill her. So okay, very nice control word. So here you can just straight up dive her. Nice. Didn't commit for the dive. Very good. Tilia comes. This is you can 2v1 this. Yep, your Warwick's here as well. So yeah, look to get this tower. You can actually look to dive this as well with the Warwick here. If he decides to, if you ping him to come help. So yeah, it comes. You can 2v1. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. See? So you do know your limits, right? So you gotta transition this these plays of yours into actual objectives, right? Because if you don't, then you know you have the higher chance of just dying for free, and then you know throwing your lead. So here, look toward, yep, and steal. I mean, this is free for you, right? Yeah. So had you done this in the earlier stages of the game, then Talia would be a lot more behind. So yeah, this is free. This is free. It's 16 minutes. You want to get Rift here, you know. So here you can start opening up the map. All right, nothing stops you here from shoving this wave, stealing all of these camps, denying this Kindred, and then getting this Rift. Right? We know that Kindred is not gonna go path topside, and you just gotta you can 1v1 her, right? So yeah, you do take this. And he looked back here. That's okay. That's good. You see Kindred in the top side? Here's where you can group with your team. And, you know, since you got this top, you can actually look to shove bot. Right, so here, instead of coming mid, this fight actually doesn't matter to you. Right, you don't care about this fight. Sure, this fight looks like big and all, and whatever, and whatnot. But, your team can handle this by themselves. Your team shouldn't actually even be going in this fight, but... So, let's see how this fight erupts. Celia goes in. Team gets caught. You missed that. That's unfortunate. You get hit by there, and then resurrected. At this point, you should be backing off. Yeah, you do die here. It is unfortunate. Alternatively, you can choose to ignore this. Look to get this Rift Herald, or look to come bot and get this tower, right? You have TP advantage over the Kale, right? And you win the Kale in the 1v1. So if you keep shoving this wave, they have to send more than one player for you. And if they send more than one player for you, this gives your team pressure to you know, force these objectives and get these camps and maybe like transition into a dragon play. So when you're winning lane this hard, look to side lane on the other side of the map. Once you get this first tower here, top side is open for your team to come top, right? Bot and ADC or ADC and support can come top here, or ADC can support and can come mid even, right? But they can have 4 players in the top side to force for this Rift Herald. You get to farm for free in the spot lane, further increasing your gold value between the Kale. The Kale cannot 1v1 you, so that means that they have to send more than one player, right? And you have TP if your team gets caught for this play, right? So, you know, this play, your team did get caught and you did come mid to help them, but the better play would have been to go bot and then maybe look at this, like, maybe ignore this play, right? Because your team is inting anyways. And look to get this tower, and then, like, next time your team does something that's stupid like that, you'll be more prepared to, you know, TP and flank, right? So that's something you can do. That's something that most players in high elo do. After they get this first tower, they lane switch to the bot side to look to get this bot tower and open up the map on both sides. Because then after that, then it's just mid you have to worry about. Continue on in this game. So do you have any questions up to this point? We were hitting the almost 20-minute mark, and obviously, you know, Rift Herald's gonna despawn in 2 minutes, and then Baron's gonna spawn, right? And when you're ahead, Baron is or not ahead, but when you are ahead, not your team. Your team's actually pretty far behind. But if you're ahead like this, you can look to carry your team by forcing these objectives that are favorable, right? So Dragon here is open right now, so Rift into Dragon is fine, into a bot lane shove is good. You always want to be looking for these objectives as soon as they're up on the map, because these objectives actually provide a ton of utility, and this Fire Dragon, you do need this Fire Dragon to curb the damage that the enemy team um, can deal to you. So yeah, this is really good for team fights. You would want to get this, and this is really good for forcing as well. Questions?
None that I have so far.
Okay, I'll keep going then. Here, you go top again. So the reason why you don't want to go top is when you go top, you don't actually utilize your teleport that you've gotten in. If you go top, then stuff that's happening on the top side of the map, you can't teleport to because you're already there, so you're not forcing anything, right? The only way you'll ever get this TP to be of good use is if you have dragon warded, but obviously you don't, right? Look at your map here, right? There's a lot of things that you could be doing, but your map, your whole entire bot side isn't warded. You have your potions, or you have 2 of your wards up, and you have like a pretty low vision score. You actually have worse vision score than the support, or not the support, the ADC, and that's something to keep as well. So a fight does erupt in the top side, so this is good here. So now you should be looking to force stuff, or maybe get a mid tower. You do get a mid tower. So here's actually the perfect time for you to come bot, right? You know what I mean?
Just wipe their team, or not wipe, but like.
Yeah, you just you got a good trade on you. You got mid tower. Top tower's taken, so the only tower to take is bot side. So what you can tell your team to do, or what your team should be doing, is they should like stack 4 on mid. You in the bot lane with TP up, right? You win versus the Kayle. We've already established this, right? You're shitting on her, right? So you use that advantage to further the team, right? Because if the team comes mid and they try to 5v5, you just teleport in from the back line, you flank, and then bam, your team's in a good position to fight a 5v5. If they don't teleport and they just do a 4, if they send 4 here and then Kayle bot, right? You win the Kayle, you get this tower, and then you get the shove. If they send more than 2, then your team forces Baron, right? So these 3 conditions, 5-0, 5-0 as in like 5 in the mid, you win because you set up a good team fight. 4-1, Kayle has to reply to you. You still win because Kayle can't 1v1 you. And if they go like 3-2, or if they send like 2 or 3 for you, then your team has a free Baron, right? And you can teleport for the Baron too. You can actually just run and teleport for the Baron, right? So splitting here satisfies every situation you want to win the game. Rorik pushes too far, gets caught. Of course, that's what bronze players do. Unfortunate actually, but yeah, your team doesn't know what they're doing, right? They're just bot's still going bot, thinking it's still the laning phase. Mid's just sitting mid, and you're just going mid as well. I'm pretty sure like your team like actually wants to group here, right? But the thing is, you don't need to group. This is not a yeah, your team is really trolling. But you don't need a group here, right? You don't need to go in like this. Like, you can wait for them to go in, right? You could be taking this objective bot, right? Because if you come bot here, the team's not gonna look to 5v5 or 5v4, right? And if they do, you have the TP, right? So of course you want to open this tower first, look to get this pressure here, and that's what a lot of pro players like to do in low elo. Like that's what I love to do. I'm a top main. I play Irelia. So what I would do if I win my lane like this hard, I'd get the first tower. I'd like steal the farm of the enemy jungle. I'd put my jungle ahead, and then I'd start coming bot. After this first tower, I'd immediately lane switch, right? Because if you lane switch here, you don't have to come top again, and you don't have to be in this bad position where you like overshove the tower and whatnot, right? And get caught ever. So you can come bot here and then look to get this tower. You can also look to 2v1 the bot lane if you're fed enough. And I mean, this game you were, so 2v1 on the bot was of course a viable option to stop the bot from getting more fed. And that's how to 1v9 basically, right? So you don't want to play with your team because your team should play. You should play your own game, and your team should play around you, not the other way around, right? So here, if your team decides to make a stupid play, you have TP. But if they don't, if they play safe, then you get this tower for free, right? If they come for, if the team rotates, Baron's on the board, you have your redwood that's not taking the top side, right? So you can TP here, help their team with Baron. So I mean, and this position is like way better than this position, right? Because you have to, right? And then your team starts inting, right? So when you're engaging hard like this, your team can't follow up like that, right? It's very risky for your team, and this does end up going bad, I believe. So yeah, so notice what the Kale is doing, right? It's a 4-1 split, right? She's doing the same thing that you're supposed to be doing, but on the top side of the map. And the only reason she's doing that is because she can, because she knows that her team is gonna win, right? So instead of like following your team around, you can actually look to make this play in the bot side here. And Kale does not outshove you, so Kale has to back and then come for you here, right? She can't keep shoving. If she keeps shoving, then you keep shoving on the bot side as well, right? And she gets this tower, you get this tower, you get this tower. It's an even trade. Assuming you didn't go mid here and have this big team fight. So yeah, at this point your team just doesn't know what they're doing, and that's quite unfortunate. So yeah, again, like all these plays you're making, right? You don't need to make these plays, right? These plays are really risky, right? Because when you're initiating a fight like this, you're the one that deals the most damage on the team, right? So you're the last one that should be dying, right? So you want to sustain as much as possible and deal as much damage as possible using your rotations of skills. So you engaging and burning your ult early is actually detrimental to the team winning, right? You should actually wait for the Warwick, or you should wait for an engage like Shen, right? So if you want to group with your team here, you can't engage first. Engaging first will lose you the game or the fight. Yeah, so your team gets caught out. And here, yeah, you just don't want to fight here. And then your Shen gets cut out. So at this point, your team doesn't know what they're doing, right? And because your team doesn't know what they're doing, and you're like helping your team by grouping with your team, that means you're doing the same thing that your team is doing, right? Like, how do I say this? Unconsciously, right? You're making bad mistakes unconsciously because you're trying to play with your team when your team is like making bad mistakes, right?
So just forget about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, are you gonna win this fight? Are you gonna trust your teammates to do shit, right? So, I mean, the answer is probably no. So instead of like grouping with your team here and taking a 50-50 fight, that like it's a coin flip, right? Like your team might win the fight or your team might not, right? But the thing is like you're 10 kills behind, right? You're the most fed on the team. So what does that mean? It means that like you don't have to go in this fight. Like you can create pressure on the other side of the map, and the enemy team has to respond to this super fed Aatrox in one way or another, right? And then that gives your team time to maybe like start farming up, getting objectives, taking favorable trades, that's the sort of thing, right? But like grouping 5v5 here, right? You're not doing the best you can do to like, change the way the game is played, right? Because if it's a 5v5 and like, you're 10 kills behind, then obviously you're gonna lose, right? The chances of you winning this team fight are very low. But if you isolate the teammates or the enemy team to like each individual player, right? If you isolate this like Jinx and Lux in the bot lane, right? If the Jinx and Lux have to come bot to try to like stop you, right? Because no one else can. That means like your team can win like a 2-3, a 5-4, and a 2-6 versus like this whole entire team, right? With these two fed players, right? If you can isolate these fed players and like make them come bot to try to stop you, or even then, like if you make more than two players come bot, right? Then your team has a higher chance to win the fight just in numbers. Yeah. So here, sometimes it's best to ignore your team and then play your own game. Like to get this tower here. Like this tower is still up after 24 minutes. So you understand you have to make these like plays on the whole entire side of the map. And of course, you want to farm too, right? You're losing in farm now because you're grouping with your team, right? And that goes with farming, right? You wanna upkeep.
The soloist, yeah, yeah, yeah. The soloist needs to leave, or doesn't need to leave. It needs to stay throughout the whole game. Like you're soloing it, you're
Yeah,
not team playing the whole game.
yeah. You don't need to team play the whole game because your team is losing, right? If you fight 5v5, you're gonna lose. I mean, like your team should be smart enough to not fight a 4v5 just naturally. Like they should think, oh, I'm stupid for going in a 4v5. If your teammates still go in a 4v5, then there was no chance in the first place, right? Your team was gonna be stupid in the first place, even if you were with them, right? So you can't change the mentality of your teammates, but you can directly affect how the game works by like understanding like core principles about the game. You can do this in any game, right? With any team, and the net gain will just be it'll be it'll be 100% net gain. You'll get this tower, you'll have more CS, you can 1v1, right? Those are things that you can do or you should be able to do if you're winning the lane, right? If you get this lead up here, then like going here, like getting this tower, getting more farming the whole game, having TP for the teleport, like these are things that you can recreate in every game, right? You're not going to be able to recreate good or bad teammates, right? So you should not play around like teammates that you don't know these guys, right? These guys like you don't give a shit about. After this game, you're gonna probably forget them, right? So instead of playing with your team that like you don't know is good or bad, like you can't trust them for anything, right? So here, look, they get caught once again, and you've been trying to play catch up the whole entire game by helping your team, but like these fights don't matter, right? These fights you're gonna lose. You can't 5v5 here. So yeah, I mean your team is pretty terrible too, right? So that's why you don't play around them. They play around you, right? By coming by here, you're forcing your team to play around you because your team should understand that if it's a 3v5 or if it's a 3v4, then they win that, right? So here you get a good pick here, but here you're trying to force Baron. Baron is the core objective here. You do get a pick, which is good. You can actually translate that pick into. I mean, of course, you still have TP up. You haven't used TP in look. Okay, 11 minutes your TP's up. Oh. Your TP's glitched. That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, you should be looking to TP a lot more. Use your TP for something that's important. Yeah, so at this point, once they get inhib here, if we go back to, 24, 25 minutes. You can force Baron here. I mean, you can look to force it. That's your only chance, actually. You have to 4-1 split. You have to come bot here, and then hope your team, does the dragon. Yeah. So yeah, this is where your team gets caught, obviously. Yeah, so at this point, like, it's very hard for you to win. They have, like, 4 dragons. They're up in, like, a lot of kills, right? So, I mean, this is going to just spiral out of control, right? It's very hard for you to win this at this point. Unless the enemy team makes a huge mistake. So this is one of the mistakes they make. Can actually capitalize on this too, right? Yeah, look at you. Yeah, you missed that. That's okay. Yeah. So what I can tell is like you have no like your team has no direction on like what they want to do. They're just like farming for kills, right? They're just looking for kills left and right. But you know, kills don't actually get you the win. It's objectives, right? And of course, bot tower's still up after 27 minutes. And you could have gotten this like 15 minutes ago. Like honestly, like it shouldn't be this low for this long. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, your team's quite unfortunate. Your team's feeding pretty hard, but you could have definitely looked to carry this game if you, you know, looked to play it better. For the most part, though, I mean, it's not your fault. You won your lane, and if you win your lane, then if your team ends, then that's their fault. But you know, winning your lane and winning the game are two different things. If you win lane, you have a higher chance of winning the game, but that's not always the case, right? But that's why like understanding how the map works can get that win, that lane, that win in your lane to the win in the game, right? So there's two aspects of the league that you have to focus on: the laning, and then like everything else, right? Because laning is its own like monster, right? We have like minion manipulation, wave control, mid priority in the top and mid side, counter jungling, matchups, all that stuff, right? So laning is a huge part of the game, and after um, the laning will directly affect how the game is played after, right? So for example, if bot lane loses, then let's say like let's say enemy bot lane wins, like mid wins, and then top loses, right? So since you have two winning lanes, or the enemy team has two winning lanes, they're poised to make more plays on the map, right? That's how the laning affects the map in general. So if you win this lane, you have to affect the other lanes on the map in some way, right? If you just win and then just keep going top and then keep shoving this and keep trying to make plays in the top side, you're not really doing anything but like perpetuating your win already, right? Like the chances of you getting this tower and then opening up the top side the whole entire way is very low, right? A lot of things need to happen. So, instead of, once you get this first tower, try to bleed your win into other lanes, right? Bleed your win into bot lane, bleed your win into mid lane. Some things to pay in mind. Yeah, but for the most part, this game wasn't your fault. You did really good this game. You know your limits on Aatrox, which is good. Your mechanics aren't that bad. But yeah, notice how when you go in, they actually lose. Like, you can't, you know? Like, look at this.
Okay, that I was gonna say something about that. I had switched my actives
Uh-huh.
from Umus and stopwatch, so I wasn't thinking, and I hit to do Umos, and I used my stopwatch.
But yeah, you didn't die a lot this game. You only died like 3 times. You're like Vayne is fucking hard inting. So like, why not give like the reason why Vayne is hard inting is because of this matchup, right? So why not tell her like, hey, go top Vayne, play against the Kale, which is the easier matchup, right? And that satisfies like four things. You like that like this is like the perfect scenario. You go bot, right? The Kane gets a free or the Vayne gets a free lane top. You get this tower. You have pressure with your TP that you've built up, and then your team can make a lot of plays. So it satisfies literally like everything you want, um, to carry the game, right? So here you look to fight, but I mean, at this point, I don't think we even need to see the rest of the game. They're gonna force Baron and then they're gonna end, right? They're gonna force Baron, get these two inhibs, and then go top and then end, right? Very little things you can do. Yep. Yeah, I mean the snowball's not gonna stop from here. Yep, they get this too. Hey, they force Baron, of course. These guy watch tries to 1v1 Baron, doesn't even matter, and then at this point, yeah, game is over. So yeah, at this point, after like 30 minutes, the game was over. At 30 minutes, there's nothing you could have done. you're past your power spike. Um, so you're not a late scaling champion, and Kale's about to hit 16, right? Once that happens, they have an 80% chance of winning statistically. If Kale hits level 16, her 55% win rate turns into 80. So, you know. So that's the things you should look out for. That's all I got for you, really.
Alrighty.
Do you have any questions? Oh my god, this is my fucking